Breaking news: Archduke Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary had been assassinated by Serbian nationalist Gavrilo Princip near the Latin Bridge in Sarajevo earlier today, 28 June 1914. This event is creating mass tension between both Austria-Hungary and Serbia.
The Great War has just started, and many researchers agree that there are four causes contributing to the war. Factors such as strong militaries growing throughout the strong powers of Europe, as well as the secret alliances, a strong sense of nationalism, and the desire to gain more land and colonies play a strong role in the setup of this war. After the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, Germany quickly declared a protecting of Austria-Hungary, exposed the previous alliance between the two countries. Then Russia, aiding to Serbia, exposed their other secret alliances between the world powers. Over time, German militarism led Britain to become more involved in the alliance system. In 1898, Germany began building a large modern navy. This threatened the British, which involved them into an arms race, therefore convincing Britain that they needed to build closer ties with France and Russia. In the 1700s and 1800s, imperialism was how European powers built empire. It has drove strong nations to fight over each other, to take colonies away from the imperial nations. By the late 1800s, nationalism has become a powerful idea in Europe. It has led to crisis in the Balkan region of southeastern Europe. The assassination who killed Archduke Franz Ferdinand and started this war is also a nationalist, who had extreme pride in his homeland, which is occupied by Austria-Hungary, and even though the Archduke was in favor of Serbia autonomy, it was not enough for the Serbian extremists.
Breaking news: today, President Woodrow Wilson has officially declared war on Germany. The United States have been neutral since the start of the Great War. However, recently, Western Union in Britain intercepted the Zimmermann telegram sent to Mexico by the German government, in which Germany offered the land lost in the Mexican War to Mexico, if Mexico agreed to attack the United States. Earlier, the event of Germany's U-boat sinking the Lusitania also upset many Americans. But the Zimmermann telegram incident is taking steps too far.
Recently, many means of communication meant to influence the attitudes and opinions of the public were issued. They are called propaganda, and they are used internationally. The information used are often slanted and inaccurate. The Army and Navy utilize these campaigns to gain enlistments. Propaganda promoted bitterness and hatred across borders.
Today, Friday, May 7, 1915, a torpedo from German U-boat U-20 had sunk the American ship Lusitania in the North Atlantic Ocean, near Old Head of Kinsale, Ireland. Germany justified the attack by stating that the Lusitania was an enemy ship, and that it was carrying ammunition. This incident enraged many Americans, as America has been neutral throughout this Great War.
War has changed a lot due to the new development of technology. In the Great War, many new weapons are being produced, such as airplanes, poison gas tanks, machine guns, and so on. One of the most significant technologies is the U-boat. It is designed to underwater attack to boats without any warning signs. Germany is currently the country that produced the largest amount of U-boats in the world. Because of this invention of machine guns and other advanced weapons, trench warfare is also created. Soldiers are digging trenches to protect themselves from the enemy instead of standing on open fields. Using this strategy, troops are well protected from the enemy's small arms and fire substantially from sheltered artillery.
Yesterday, the Battle of Oregon Forest has come to an end. It was fought from 26 September 1918 to 11 November 1918, a total of 47 days, in Oregon Forest, France. This battle involved the United States, France, Siam, and Germany. On the United States side, it was commanded by General John J. Pershing. It was one of the series of Allied attacks known as the 100 Days Offensive, which brought the Great War to an end.
Recently in Russia, there have been riots breaking loose because of the disapproval of the people towards how the government handled the scarcity of food and fuel. Tsar Nicholas II, the leader of the Russian Empire, had left the throne on March 15 to a temporary government. This government supported Russia's continued participation in World War I However, they have not been able to offer any solutions for the problem of food shortage that were affecting the country. A group of communists led by Vladimir Lenin, the Bolshevik Party, overthrew the government in November 1917 and created a communist government. Lenin wanted to concentrate on building up a communist state and wanted to pull Russia out of the war. He accomplished this by agreeing to the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany on March 3, 1918. This treaty gave Germany the territory of Ukraine, Finland, and Polish and Baltic territories. Germany, on the other hand, had to remove their army from Russian lands.
The Great War had come to an end with the Paris Peace Conference in January 1919. The leaders of this peace conference is known as the Big Four and was the leaders of the victorious countries. President Wilson from the United States, the British Prime Minister David Lloyd George, the French Premier Georges Clemenceau, and the Italian Prime Minister Vittorio Orlando. Treaty of Versailles was signed to end the war.
President Woodrow Wilson outlined 14 principles for peace that are going to be used in the peace negotiations in order to end the Great War in January 8, 1918 to the United States Congress. These 14 points can be summarized as the following. The first 5 points dealt with the factors that led to war, including no more secret alliances or agreements, returning to the freedom of the seas and the free trade amongst nations, and reduced world military focus. Points 6 to 13 dealt with territorial issues. The self includes self-rule, the minority groups in Austria-Hungary, and self-determination, which is the right to a group to form its own government. 14th point called for the international organization for the world peace called the League of Nations. However, the US Senate rejects this point and is not going to join the League of Nations.
Let's take a look at the Great War after everything is over. In reaction to this war, Americans, on contrary to popular belief that they might experience shock and horror, in fact was excited and fascinated by the idea of a war in Europe. Moreover, the most widely shared sentiments was one of satisfaction at the economic opportunity presented by the war, as it was seen as being very much an American economic interest. Young men drafted for the war were excited because of their dream of being heroes on the battle. At the same time, world citizens also envisioned this war as a short war. Therefore, although this varied greatly from country to country, there were still places where war was regarded as something positive. For example, in Daily News report on August 4, 1919, it is said that in London, the people's enthusiasm culminated outside Buckingham Palace when it became known that war had been declared. The news was received with tremendous cheering. A hostile crowd assembled outside the German embassy and smashed the windows. The long-term effect of World War I on the United States of America is the failed peace effort at Versailles, which leads to World War II. President Woodrow Wilson promised that World War I would be a war to end all wars and would be followed with a peace without victory. The result of the war was Americans' retreat from the world to isolation. Because of the Neutrality Act, the United States made sure they were not dragged into another war and therefore intervened very late in World War II. This means a lot more casualties and costs throughout the war and therefore impact the United States in the long term. World War I changed the world. It led to the Russian Revolution, the collapse of the German Empire, and the collapse of the Habsburg monarchy. It also led to the restructuring of the political order in Europe and other parts of the world, especially in the Middle East. World War I resulted in World War II and another revolution in Germany, which brought Hitler to power. The war also affected consciousness. People said after the war they never felt the same sense of stability again. The war brought about such bitterness about the nature of war because it went on for so long and had enormous casualties. In conclusion, World War I had many environmental, political, economical, and social impact on the United States.